Another thing that I want to bring up, that's something that happens as well, is a simple concept called a DEAD Scrum Master. A DEAD Scrum Master. Okay? Now, this could be a dead agile coach. It can be, just think DEAD Scrum Master, right? Now, where did I get that term from? I got that term from Ken Schwaber. Two terms I get from Ken Schwaber is DEAD Scrum Master and single ringable neck, right? These are the two that I clearly remember from my class, right? And my class was in '05, right? It was in Chicago at one of the expensive hotels in downtown. And I remember in '05 it cost me $1,200. So, it was ridiculous. And so here's the deal, right? But we had it laid out for real. We had really good food. It was just really, really amazing. It was like 80 people there too. It's crazy. And at $1,200 per head, like for real. And I did it early, right? So anyway, the idea and the way that I've always thought about a DEAD Scrum Master. Some of you all have thought about these things different than me. But you know what? Okay, all right. Some of you all have thought about these things different than me. But when I think about a DEAD Scrum Master, I think about you putting yourself in a position where you lose your job. That's it. So I always say in my classes, you may not want to be a DEAD Scrum Master. And I realistically am saying, do not put yourself in a position where you get walked out to the door. Now, a lot of times people hear me say, I'm used to getting fired. Well, I am, because I'm a contractor. And the person that they're going to let go before they let go anybody else is obviously going to be the contractor over the employees. So I've been a contractor since '07. Well, probably, yeah, before then, actually. So I've been a contractor. So it's going to be us contractors that get walked out the door first. And that's just the way that it works, because they're not going to say, they really use contractors to bolster their numbers, to boost their numbers up, to get, get a lot of things done, right? And so the idea, though, is just doing things that put you in a position where you are no longer exist inside the company anymore. Have I had that kind of stuff happen? Absolutely. And most of the time it's been because of integrity versus anything else. But there's a lot of people that will take certain stances. That can get them walked out the door. Or you might be in a position where the company wants you to do something in particular. Like, for example, let's say you have a situation where your company wants to get status during the daily scrum because they have found in the past that the information in the tool is not getting updated. Okay? Is not getting updated. Okay? Hey Naomi, hey Dorcas, how you doing? Now, they say to you as the Scrum Master, look, I really need to get the status, and I need for you to make sure that that status is there. Okay? So you take the stance and you're like, no. The daily scrum is for the developers, for them to synchronize their work, not for me to go in and collect status. So, and then you can make sure this thing is up to date. Now, I will tell them to do that in the other 23 hours and 45 minutes that exist during the day. But this daily scrum is sacred. Nothing gets to, no, we don't touch this daily scrum whatsoever. We don't touch it whatsoever. We're not going to do status in the daily scrum. Now, my manager makes a suggestion to me. Well, all you really need to do is just go ahead and put it up on the screen and then have people just let you know where things are at, based on, their work. No. That's going to throw them away from synchronizing with each other. And in Scrum, it says that I shouldn't even be there as a Scrum Master. My managers say to me, no, we want you to be there as a Scrum Master because we want you to make sure that these things are getting done. So we need to make sure we get that status update every single day. Now, you can take that hardcore Scrum stance and just be like, no, It ain't gonna happen. It just ain't gonna happen. No, it ain't gonna happen. You can do that, right? You can do that all day, every day, okay? But when you do that, and now the powers that be are not getting their updates, right? They're not getting their updates. They're sitting here. They want to see things get updated. They want to see a burn chart. Oh, let me see. Let me see if my stuff shows up. They want to see a burn chart, right? And your burn charts look a certain way. Let me get a blank page because I got to do this, right? You got a burn chart that looks like, okay. You got a burn chart that looks like this, but then it kind of goes like this, your burn chart. Your burn chart goes like this. And just look flat. And the last day it goes all the way down. And they saying to you, look, we don't know how people are progressing. We don't know what's going on. We really, really want to know. We really want to know what's happening. We want to see before it gets to the end. We want to make sure that there's no disasters happen just in case, so we can make sure they make it, right? And they're telling you and they're asking you and they're begging you and they're pleading with you, and you're like, no. That's what I mean by taking a stance. By really taking this dogmatic stance that has no logical reason for you to take it, except for that's what Scrum says to do. This is how you get walked out the door. This is how you get walked out the door. Right? You get walked out the door for that particular reason. Now, I'm not saying people are really going to walk you out the door, but I don't know. Maybe they can, right? Maybe they can, because now the situation that they have is whoever asked you to get that, they can't take the data that's supposed to roll up in a tool and provide that data to the powers that be, so those powers that be can make decisions about whatever needs to happen moving forward, right? And so since they asked you to get it, and now you haven't gotten it, guess who they coming to look at? You. Okay? And so if you continue to do that and you keep doing that, why would they want to have you? Why would they want to have you around? Why would you know, really, when you're a part of the company, you're a part of the company to toe the line of the company, not to do Scrum. The company comes above Scrum, is what they're going to say, right? And so it's one of those things where why should I be that way, right? And so, you know, I remember when I was at some division of Sears or something like that, working in the Sears building, not in downtown Chicago, not the Sears Tower, that's not a Willis Tower. I wasn't working there. I was off in Hoffman Estates, right? And so I'm working for this part of the organization, and I'm supposed to be doing Scrum. I walk in there, they ain't doing Scrum. You hear me? They ain't doing Scrum. I had the CIO, right? Literally, I had the CIO. They wanted me to create a project plan. Now, already I'm like, no, this is not Scrum. Now, before I got there, as I'm interviewing, they telling me all these wonderful and great stories about how we're going to take it to the next level with Scrum and Agile and how we're going to do all this wonderful and great stuff. And it sounds amazing. Plus, I want to get back to Chicago. My daughter's in Chicago. At this time, she's around 4 years old, so I need to get back. I've been running back and forth all over the country, so I'm like, I get back. I can see her every single weekend. I'll be good to go. This is going to be amazing. I get a little house over in Carpentersville, right down the street from Hoffman Estates. I just make it all good because I'm ready to go. I'm like, let me be a full-time employee. That lasted about 2 months, maybe 3, maybe 3, maybe 3, right? Because they wanted me to create a project plan that was not telling the truth. They wanted me to create a project plan that showed we was going to make a particular date, but the actuals showed that was a lie. And the statement was really this simple. We don't need to do no project plan in Scrum. No, we don't need that. Why do we need that? You say we're going to do this perfect thing. And here I go not doing a project plan. Okay, no problem, right? Here I go not updating the project plan. Okay, now everybody's coming in every single weekend now because we're so far behind, right? It ain't got nothing to do with Scrum. It ain't got nothing to do with Agile. It got everything to do with the commitments that was made that was above and beyond what the team could have ever done in the first place, right? And so literally, I'm pushing back. I'm telling the team, I will be a dead Scrum Master for you, no problem. Because I'm not going to let you all get run into the ground. And literally, I was doing that, right? I come in the weekends with folks that, you know, I couldn't do no work. I was just there to support, bring in some food, bring in a little bit of that, just be the best servant leader that I could be. But guess what, people? The CIO took me, and I tell this in the class, right? The CIO took me to a room and literally said to me, he said to me, "Hey man, do you still want to be here?" And here go me. You know how a dog don't look at you when you're there for like answering, right? So I went in and I said, "I don't know." I just looked off in the corner like, "I don't know." Man, within an hour, they had walked me out that building. Now, I was in a very nice corporate office, right? They had these discounts on all this Sears stuff every single week in this little store. You know how big companies had a big company store, right? And so I'm going to the company store every week, getting stuff to furnish the place up, right? I'm happy, right? I get to work out every morning. I come in at 7 or whatever. They got a nice big gym with everything I could want. I ain't got to have a gym membership. All I got to do is be an employee, right? I mean, I'm over here going to toe the line, be the best employee that I could ever dream of being, right? I'm gonna be the best employee because I'm a company man. I'm a company man. I love companies, and now I get to work for a company that I always dreamed about working for, right? Because I always wanted to work for the Sears, right? I really did. I really wanted to work for Sears as a kid. You see that big old building in Chicago, the Sears Tower, right? You go to Sears, your grandmother, you get stuff from Sears, get a washing machine or whatever, raggedy washing machine, but you know it's from Sears or Craftsman or whatever they call that brand, right? So I'm doing all this stuff because I want to get at Sears, right? Because it's one of the companies I always wanted to work for. That's one of the companies that got fired from the quickest. It's literally one of the companies that got fired from the quickest. The quickest company I ever got fired from was Sears. For real, this is not a joke. But when I tell you he walked me out the door, he walked me out the door quick, fast, and early because I wasn't towing the company line. At the end of the day, don't know what company care about Scrum. They don't care about Scrum. They care about what Scrum can do for them. You know, them working with Scrum is like them going on a date, and they're polygamous, right? So they got to go on a date with as many people as they want to, right? Nothing says they got to be married to Scrum, right? So they can be, you know, kind of married to Scrum and kind of married to Waterfall and kind of married to somebody else because they believe in loving a lot of people, right? And if that's your thing, I'm not down in it whatsoever, but they believe in loving a lot of people, right? And so just because a company loves a lot of people, that's how that company works. This company gained millions and millions of dollars over the year. Who can I say that I'm going to come in and teach them how to change their entire business? Especially if the culture's not ready to change. Especially if the culture's not ready to change, right? So when you start thinking about it, you say to yourself, dead Scrum Master, that's what I mean, people. I literally mean you're going so much against the grain that it puts you in a position where you put that opportunity at jeopardy. And just because, you know, you didn't get fired, if you're an employee, for example, you can get to the point where your dead is them neutering you. Your dead is them just putting you in a position where you can't be fruitful anymore in the organization. They could actually do that to you as well. Right? They don't have to fire you. They can just make it so you're no longer fruitful, right? You're no longer in the position to have a lot of opportunities in terms of getting promotions or having various opportunities. And you get a stain on your name, right? And one of the things that when I walk into organizations and I have people that are part of the company, I always tell people, especially a transformation, I tell people and I say to them, look, it's going to go one of two ways. You're going to be some of the first people to leave, or you're going to be some of the first people that's going to have the quickest raises and the quickest title changes because you're going to get a lot of promotions. So it's going to go to one of those extremes. It's not going to be anything in the middle. So are you ready to take that risk? Are you literally, especially a brand new transformation, right? Are you ready to take that risk of being the pariah in the organization and they completely new to you, completely take you away from all the other opportunities, or you end up in a situation where you're the golden child, right? It's going to be one of those extremes depending on how the company is, right? And so I've seen both happen. And so no matter what it is, you don't want to be a dead Scrum Master. Now me, I don't mind being a dead Scrum Master because I'll never be a dead Scrum Master for a Bearded Eagle, right? But you don't want to be a dead Scrum Master. Well, you do want to be a dead Scrum Master if you truly want to be a dead Scrum Master and you want to die in the process, right? Because when I ultimately left Sears, I ended up dying in the process, and really my death was on purpose, right? I started doing things, nothing egregious. I started doing things that I don't think was too cool, right? Too cool, as I would say, right? And so realistically, it's one of those things that you got to determine what you're going to be in that organization, right? And being a dead Scrum Master is one of those things it can be. But you can also, in terms of being a dead Scrum Master, not get fired. You can be put in political asylum. You can be put in a place where you don't get any more promotions. You be put in a place where you're getting passed over for almost every other thing that exists. You can be put in a lot of different positions. So I want you to remember that, because that is what I would call a gem. Because when I first went to that whole Scrum thing, when I got my certification, I was at State Farm. Not as an employee, I was a contractor, but I was committed like I was an employee. So I was at State Farm, not an employee, but they treated the contractors like they was employees. So I was committed to State Farm. I was really committed to State Farm. And then being committed to State Farm, when I went to I was just like, okay, I'm gonna toe the line. And sometimes you get in a place where when you're not trying to be a dead Scrum Master, you lose objectivity. You lose objectivity, right? And so I have lost objectivity sometimes because I didn't want to be a dead Scrum Master and didn't want to take risk. But then there's the far side of that where you're taking too many risks and there's nothing to back those risks up, right? You're doing things where you are taking a stance on something and it's an impossible stance for anybody to deal with. You're going to have to figure out what you're going to do. Likely, most of you all will be somewhere in the middle. Most of you all will be somewhere in the middle, right? Because most of us work with some role that combines several things, right? So you'll be somewhere in the middle of that. But just remember, going in either extreme can have an impact on you in a negative way, maybe in a positive way, but usually in some kind of way. But that being said, I'm not sure if you want to volunteer to become a dead Scrum Master. I volunteered for it before. I still volunteer for it today, because I always tell my teams I'll become a dead Scrum Master for you. And I don't say it unless I really mean it. So if you're going to do that, just make sure that you're willing to go all the way with it, right? And going all the way with it is a really lonely place, because the one thing that is true, when I got walked out the door as a dead Scrum Master, it's serious. One thing is true. Everything that I didn't do, they got somebody else to do. That team still got tortured the same way. I didn't change anything for that team except for them seeing a savior, seeing a Gandhi, and that Gandhi got sacrificed. That's it. It was like them seeing Martin Luther King get assassinated, and that's what happened. The construction happened after that point. They peeled back all, they made the civil rights laws to the point where they're pretty much non-existent. That's what happened to them. So realistically, if you're going to decide to be a dead Scrum Master, just remember, if you die and you sacrifice, it doesn't mean that society, that organization is really going to acquiesce because you got walked out. No, you're getting walked out so they can continue their regime. So, just so you know. And I got one question. I'll answer this question. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? I'll say this to you, Naomi. I'll say this to you before we close out. It absolutely was worth it, because I wouldn't be able to tell you the story, one. And two, those people that I was there at that organization for, they still know me today. They still respect me today. And whenever I cross paths with them, no matter where I cross paths with them, whether I cross paths with them in India, whether I cross paths with them in Chicago, I pass some of them down here in Texas, they still respect me to the nth degree. And they always say to me, I wish you had stayed there, because if you had stayed there, we'd have got way more stuff done.